Well, here goes nothing. The last time we spoke, I presented you with a list of the worst video games of all time. But now, we flipped the script. Today, we cover 10 video games that will go down in history. Games that broke the mold and took the world by storm. This list was carefully compiled, with multiple factors taken into consideration. Ratings, reception, impact, community feedback, and more. Personal bias and emotions were left out of the equation as I took on the seemingly impossible task of collecting the best of the best. Out of all of the incredible games that have released over the years, choosing only 10 is potentially a recipe for disaster, as gamers are some of the most passionate, outspoken, and loyal of any consumer base in the world, and are sure to debate a list as important as this. But I assure you, this task was not taken lightly. So, without further ado, it's on with the show. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. You are now watching the 10 best video games of all time. Starting us off at number 10 is the incredible third-person action-adventure game, Uncharted 2: Among Thieves. Winner of over 200 Game of the Year awards in 2009, Uncharted 2 brought an intense, cinematic experience to an audience that anxiously awaited its release. After the success of 2007's Uncharted: Drake's Fortune, Naughty Dog knew they would have to up the ante to prove the franchise had lasting power, and they delivered. Everything from the incredible voice acting to the engaging storyline and cinematography helped make this game an instant classic, and it easily earns itself a deserving spot on our top 10 list. At number 9 is another sequel that skyrocketed a gaming franchise to new heights, Mass Effect 2. Taking place after the events of the original Mass Effect, the developers aimed to create something that was less about being a game and more about being an experience. This included the addition of side missions and multiple plot lines, all packaged into one interactive masterpiece. Mass Effect 2 collected tons of year-end awards, including Game of the Year, RPG of the Year, Best Console Game, Best Game Design, and many more. And it sits comfortably at the number 9 spot on our countdown. At number 8 is the Nintendo 64 classic, Super Mario 64. An open-world 3D masterpiece, Super Mario 64 is acclaimed by many as one of the greatest and most revolutionary games of all time, and for good reason. Not only did it breathe new life into the Super Mario franchise, but into the entire gaming industry. The game set many precedents for 3D platformers going forward, and is without a doubt one of the most influential video games of all time. Coming in at number 7 is another release that impacted the gaming world in a major way, 2007's Portal. The only puzzle platform game on our countdown, Portal was first released as part of the infamous Orange Box and was massively praised for its dark humor and unique gameplay. The game developed somewhat of a cult following upon release and quickly garnered mainstream success, running away with multiple Game of the Year awards. Portal holds a special place in the hearts of many, and interestingly enough, goes hand in hand with our number 6 game, Half-Life 2. Much like its predecessor, Half-Life 2 was met with waves of public and critical acclaim, capturing 39 Game of the Year awards and even securing Game of the Decade at the 2012 Spike Video Game Awards. The first game developed on Valve's brand new Source game engine, Half-Life 2 was one of those rare releases that felt like it was ahead of its time. The advanced physics, superb graphics, and engaging narrative helped solidify Half-Life 2 as one of the absolute best ever. Just mentioning the name of the number 5 game on our countdown can spark sheer joy and excitement in gamers around the world, and the name is Skyrim. The 5th installment in the Elder Scrolls series, Skyrim is more than a game, it's a way of life. Players have logged hundreds, some even thousands of hours into the massive fictional province of Skyrim, leveling up their characters, battling dragons, and exploring breathtaking environments. Receiving over a dozen Game of the Year awards and shipping over 7 million copies in its first week of release, Skyrim is a game that will undoubtedly be talked about for generations to come, and it deserves a spot on our top 10 countdown. At number 4 is what some may call the little engine that could, a sandbox indie game that took the world by surprise: Minecraft. Minecraft is an open-world game with no specific goals and no plot. Instead, the gameplay revolves around building and placing blocks, allowing for the construction of just about anything and everything the player can imagine. There's no winner, no objective, so how does it deserve a spot on the top 10 greatest games of all time? The answer is simple: impact. It was the first game of its kind that gained its popularity solely through word of mouth, via YouTube videos, Facebook, Reddit, and Twitter. Minecraft has been downloaded well over 15 million times, and is without a doubt a cultural phenomenon. And it's a game that absolutely earned its spot on our top 10. At number 3 is a controversial, violent, and undeniably enjoyable action-adventure game, Grand Theft Auto 3. Released on the PlayStation 2 console in 2001, GTA 3 is a landmark title in the video game industry. Its massive open world, non-linear plotline, and ridiculously fun gameplay brought Grand Theft Auto 3 mainstream success and widespread accolades. Many believe it revolutionized the way video games were made, and critics even adopted the term GTA clone to describe the onslaught of video games that attempted to replicate the sandbox style of GTA 3. Because of its violent and sexual nature, it's often cited as one of the most offensive games of all time. But that accolade is, of course, subjective. Sort of. But either way, it's hard to deny the fact that Grand Theft Auto 3 remains one of the most influential video game releases of all time, and sits pretty at our number 3 spot. Our runner-up on the countdown is Nintendo's Super Mario Bros. 3. This two-dimensional platform phenomenon took the world by storm, introducing a slew of new elements into the Super Mario franchise, including new special items, slopes, and the flight ability. As of 2011, Super Mario Bros. 3 remains the highest-grossing non-bundled video game to date, raking in over $1.7 billion globally. Many believe that the original Super Mario Bros. Defined the two-dimensional genre, but it was Super Mario Bros. 3 that perfected it. It's the one 8-bit game that still shines bright to this very day, and is not only one of the best, but one of the most important video games of all time. Well, we're almost there. Before we reveal the number 1 video game of all time, we'd like to take a second to acknowledge a number of incredible, influential, and groundbreaking games that fell just shy of the top 10. All of the games mentioned here have had a substantial impact on the gaming world, and it would be a shame for them to go unmentioned. As we stated earlier, a list of this magnitude is almost impossible to definitively complete, and it's because of incredible games such as these. But now, it's time. Searching far and wide, taking many factors and variables into consideration, we've reached the end. The cream of the crop, the end-all, be-all. The best video game of all time is The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, a 1998 action-adventure game released for the N64 console. The player controls the trademark hero Link through his adventures in Hyrule. Music plays a huge part in this unforgettable adventure, as the player must learn a number of melodies that allow him to solve various puzzles. On its initial release, Ocarina of Time received perfect review scores across the board. Hundreds of publications ranked the original N64 version as the number 1 highest-rated game of all time, calling it a game that can't be considered anything other than flawless. And we're inclined to agree. And because of its impact, influence, critical success, and perfect execution, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time is the number 1 best video game ever. Well, there you have it. Whether you agree with the specific rankings or not, I hope you've enjoyed this look at some of the greatest works of art that have ever graced the video game industry. I encourage you to leave your top 10 list in the comment section below. And whether your top 10 differs from ours, a thumbs up on this video for the effort and attempt at achieving the impossible is greatly appreciated. Also, be sure to leave your suggestions for the next top 10 down below, and you just might see it in a future episode. Thank you for watching the top 10 best video games of all time. I'm The Dank, and I'll see you soon.